toilette. In plain white they will dress you, and the devil shall know what a dandy you were."
"But who are you that I should give you money for the Synagogue?" asked the Beau sullenly. "Where are your credentials?"
"Was it to insult me that you called me back? Do I look like a knave? Nay, put up your purse. I will have none of your filthy gold. Let me go."
Gradually Manasseh was won round to accepting 10 sovereigns.
"For your father's sake," he said, pocketing them. "The only thing I will take for your sake is the cost of my conveyance. I had to post hither, and the Synagogue must not be the loser."
Beau Belasco gladly added the extra money, and reseated himself before the mirror with agreeable sensations in his neglected conscience. "You see," he observed half apologetically, for Manasseh still lingered, "one cannot do everything. To be a prince of dandies one needs all one's time." He waved his hand comprehensively around the walls, which were lined with wardrobes. "My buckskin breeches were the result of 9 separate measurings. Do you note how they fit?"
"They scarcely do justice to your eminent reputation," replied Manasseh candidly.
Beau Belasco's face became whiter than ever at the thought of earthquakes and devils.
"They fit me to bursting," he breathed.
"But are they in the pink of fashion?" queried Manasseh. "And assuredly the nankeen pantaloons yonder I recollect to having seen worn last year."
"My tailor said they were of a special cut. 'Tis a shape I am introducing, baggy, to go with frilled shirts."
Manasseh shook his head sceptically, whereupon the Beau besought himself to go through his wardrobe and set aside anything that lacked originality or extreme fashionableness. After considerable reluctance Manasseh consented, and set aside a few cravats, shirts, periwigs, and suits from the immense collection.
"Aha! That is all you can find," said the Beau gleefully.
"Yes, that is all," said Manasseh sadly. "All I can find that does any justice to your fame. These speak the man of polish and invention. The rest are but tawdry frippery. Anybody might wear them."
"Anybody?"
Gasped the poor Beau, stricken to the soul.
"Yes, I might wear them myself."
"Thank you, thank you. You are an honest man. I love true criticism, when the critic has nothing to gain. I am delighted you call. These rags shall go to my valet."
"Nay, why waste them on the heathen?" asked Manasseh, struck with a sudden thought. "Let me dispose of them for the benefit of the Synagogue."
"If it would not be troubling you too much."
"Is there anything I would not do for heaven?"
said Manasseh with a patronising air. He threw open the door of the adjoining piece suddenly, disclosing the scowling valet on his knees.
"Take these down, my man,"
he said quietly, and the valet was only too glad to hide his confusion at being caught eavesdropping by hastening down the drive with an armful of satin waistcoats. Manasseh, getting together the remainder, shook his head despairingly.
"I shall never get these into the post chaise," he said. "You will have to lend me your carriage."
"Can't you come back for them?"
said the Beau feebly.
"Why waste the Synagogue's money on hired vehicles? No. If you will crown your kindness by sending the footman along with me to help me unpack them, you shall have your equipage back in an hour or two."
So the carriage and pair were brought out, and Manasseh, pressing into his service the coachman, the valet, and the footman, superintended the packing of the bulk of Beau Belasco's wardrobe into the 2 vehicles. Then he took his seat in the carriage, the coachman and the gorgeous powdered footman got into their places, and with a joyous fanfaronade on the horn the procession set off, Manasseh bowing graciously to the master of the Red House, who was waving his beruffled hand from a window embowered in greenery. After a pleasant drive the vehicles halted at the house guarded by stone lions in which dwelt Nathaniel Furtado, the wealthy private dealer who willingly gave £15 for the buck's belaced and embroidered vestments, besides being inveigled into a donation of a guinea toward the Synagogue's bad debt. Manasseh thereupon dismissed the chaise with a handsome gratuity, and drove in state in the now empty carriage, attended by the powdered footman, to Finsbury Circus, to the mansion of Rodriguez.
"I've come for my £10," he said,
and reminded him of his promise. Rodriguez laughed and swore, and laughed again and swore that the carriage was hired to be paid out of the £10.
"Hired?" echoed Manasseh resentfully. "Do you not recognize the arms of my friend Beau Belasco?"
And he presently drove off with the note, for Rodriguez had a roguish eye. And then, parting with the chariot, the King took his way on foot to Fenchurch Street, to the house of his cousin Barzillai, the ex-planter of Barbados, and now a West Indian merchant. Barzillai, fearing humiliation before his clerks, always carried his relative off to the neighbouring Franco's Head Tavern and humoured him with costly liquors.
"But you had no right to donate money you did not possess. It was dishonest," he cried with irrepressible ire.
"Hoity-toity,"
said Manasseh, setting down his glass so vehemently that the stem shivered.
"And were you not called to the law after me? And do you not donate money?"
"Certainly, but I had the money."
"What, with you?"
No, certainly not. I do not carry money on the Sabbath."
"Exactly, neither do I."
"But the money was at my banker's."
"And so it was at mine. You are my bankers, you and the others like you. You draw on your bankers, I draw on mine."
And his cousin being thus confuted, Manasseh had not much difficulty in wheedling £2.10 out of him.
"And now," he said, "I really think you ought to do something to lessen the Synagogue's loss."
"But I've just given,"
quoth Barzillai in bewilderment.
"That you gave me as your cousin, to enable your relative to discharge his obligations. I put it strictly on a personal footing, but now I am pleading on behalf of the Synagogue, which stands to lose heavily. You are a Sephardi as well as my cousin. It is a distinction not unlike the one I have so often to explain to you. You owe me charity, not only as a cousin, but as a Schnorrer likewise."
And having wrested another guinea from the obfuscated merchant, he repaired to Grobstock's business office in search of the defaulter. But the wily Grobstock, forewarned by Manasseh's promise to visit him, and further frightened by his Sunday morning call, had denied himself to the Schnorrer or anyone remotely resembling him, and it was not until the afternoon that Manasseh ran him to earth at Sampson's Coffee House in Exchange Alley, where the brokers foregathered, and prentices and students swaggered in to abuse the ministers, and all kinds of men from bloods to barristers loitered to pick up hints to easy riches. Manasseh detected his quarry in the furthestmost box, his face hidden behind a broadsheet.
"Why do you always come to me?"
muttered the East India Director helplessly.
"Eh?"
said Manasseh, mistrustful of his own ears.
"I beg your pardon?"
"If your community cannot support you,"
said Grobstock more loudly, and with all the boldness of an animal driven to bay,
"why not go to Abraham Goldschmidt or his brother Ben or Van Oven or Oppenheim? They're all more prosperous than I."
"Sir,"
said Manasseh wrathfully,
"you are a skilful, nay, famous financier. You know what stocks to buy, what stocks to sell, when to follow a rise and when a fall. When the Premier advertises the loans, 1,000 speculators look to you for guidance. What would you say if I presumed to interfere in your financial affairs? If I told you to issue these shares or to call in those? You would tell me to mind my own business, and you would be perfectly right. Now, schnorring is my business. Trust me, I know best whom to come to. You stick to stocks and leave schnorring alone. You are the king of financiers. but I am the King of Schnorrers." Grobstock's resentment at the rejoinder was mitigated by the compliment